And now on the Two Murrays, Strata Matters with Stephen Brell for the Strata Community Association, New South Wales, the peak body representing the strata industry.
He is back with us, Stephen Brell. And, of course, if you want to have a chat to Stephen, 131873, that is the telephone number. Anything in regards to strata concerns. So if you live in that environment and you've got questions for Stephen, he's the man to talk to, 131873. How you doing?
Good afternoon, Murray.
Very nice to see you, Stephen. I've got
too.
a query this week because I live in a strata environment. We have I think it's every 3 years, we have the swimming pool that we have at the place inspected. So I had to get the chainsaw out and knock down all these lovely big tall shrubs that were up to the height of the pool fence, take them down to below the pool deck. Because last time we were there, they said,
why?
Because they can be climbed by children.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not. So we've got these horrible little stumps now. So in 3 years' time when they come back, they'll be nice and tall again and bushy, but right now they look like, meow.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point that you put forward there. And again, I know we're having a bit of a smirk at it at the moment, but it is something that you do need to be aware of. And regardless of whether you're in a strata environment or in a backyard pool, if you have what we describe in the industry as a natural ladder, so things like a fence, a pot plant, a wheelie bin that kids can climb and scale,
yep.
They can often get over the fence and get into the pool.
What's it called again, Stephen?
We call it a natural ladder.
Natural ladder.
A natural ladder.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, out where I live, a lot of people have got swimming pools. They're all fenced.
Yes.
Not 50 metres from the swimming pool is a dam.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah,
and the dams aren't fenced.
Yeah, that's right.
Where you keep the beavers, isn't it?
Well, I do actually, yes. But it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, and I agree with you. But there's a lot of planning laws and laws in general that don't make sense to us commoners. So yes,
to us commoners.
Yes, us commoners. So Stephen's with us, President of the Strata Community Association. 131873 is our telephone number. Start of a new year. A lot of people are changing careers, thinking about what they're going to do for the rest of the year. We haven't touched on this, but careers in strata. I mean, what does it look like? It's not. I wouldn't even know how you would search up on Seek what a career in strata is, or what it looks like, or what it's called. But there are careers available, aren't
Absolutely, yeah. It was very interesting this week. So our national body for quite a time have been pushing to have strata recognised as its own separate profession. And we took our first steps towards that this week. So that's through a government regulation called ANSCO, and they set up all of the different job classifications out there in the workplace.
Yep.
So we've always been lumped in with real estate and property. And again, we are a very close cousin to what real estate agents and salespeople do. But it looks like we are well on our way to have our own classification as strata management as its own career category.
Wow.
Now, in New South Wales, we have what's called the Professional Standard Scheme. So strata management in New South Wales is recognised as a profession, and it's something which our association is striving towards, is the professionalism and training of strata managers to make our industry, well more respected within the community.
Is this a university qualification, a TAFE qualification?
At the moment, it's a TAFE qualification, and you study for. So there's varying levels of what we have, but everyone back in I've got to get my maths right now. I think it was back in 2020, the New South Wales government put forward that anyone who starts a strata qualification must head towards a licensing regime.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that's right. So they've got to do that within 4 years. So, and again, that is all about making strata management professionals licensed and protected for all owners and the advice they're giving and all that sort of thing in the environment.
What does it look like? What's a career in strata look? What does it mean? What do you do?
Well, again, there are many different options. Like a lot of careers in property, there are a lot of different things that strata managers can do. And I mentioned in my notes, we had a gentleman, and if you don't mind me giving a shout out, George Van Booker, who's one of the grandfathers, and you won't mind me calling him that, of strata management.
Poppy George?
Yeah, Poppy George.
Poppy George.
He celebrated 50 years in strata management.
50 years?
Yeah, last year. You do get less for murder.
Wow.
However, he has created a very successful family. Now all of his sons work in the business, so he is a great success story of our industry. And again, bearing in mind, our sector is only 64 years old, so to have someone celebrate 50 years is quite a milestone. But it goes to show you that you can forge a career in strata management. And as we've been saying, and as I've been spruiking for the last few weeks, our industry is just going to grow because it is going to be the predominant form of land ownership in New South Wales over the next few decades.
And in Queensland and in Victoria, as we look next 10, 20, 30 years out, more and more people will be living in a strata environment.
Yeah, that's right.
And how important is it? I mean, I can say hand on heart, we have a fantastic strata manager, really on the ball, prompt, answers emails, on the front foot when it comes to things like fire inspections, pool inspections, the nuts and bolts that perhaps we're not aware of.
That's right. I mean, look, one of the things which I liked about Strata, or still like about Strata management, I haven't been on the tools for a while. However, it is such a different experience every day, and you do need a very vast skill set.
Yeah.
So you need to be a problem solver, you need to be a mediator, you need to understand repairs and maintenance, you need to understand how to control a crowd at a strata meeting, you need to understand the legislation. So yeah, it is a very varied. It is a very varied. Yeah, that's right. Very varied profession. So which is something, as I said, which we're burgeoning on, and now we're getting a little bit more recognition out there in the wider public, which is great.
So when you get a good one, let them know it. 131873 is our telephone number.
That is
Stephen Brell is our special guest this Sunday afternoon, the president of the Strata Community Association. Let's go to calls because this afternoon we have a couple of free lines. 131873. Let's go to Genevieve, who is our first caller. Hi, Genevieve.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. How can we be of assistance?
Okay, so I've got some security cameras right up on my property, and my Strata manager has asked me that I'll need to pay up to $2,000 to get a solicitor draft and bylaws so I can keep my cameras. And I'm wondering, I spoke to Fair Trade, and they said that I could write the bylaws myself to save that $2,000 because solicitors don't necessarily need to write the bylaws. So what exactly are they looking for in these bylaws to keep my cameras up?
By the sounds of it, Genevieve, what your Strata manager is asking you for is retrospective permission because you have installed security cameras on the property, which is likely attached to the common property. You are right, you do not need a solicitor to draft a bylaw, and bylaws generally do not cost upwards of solicitors can charge what solicitors charge, but they generally don't cost upwards of $1,000. There are actually a lot of specialist Strata solicitors who actually they've got kits out which you can do it yourself bylaws.
Really?
And from what you're describing, this is a relatively simple bylaw, which is simply give you permission to install the security cameras. Retrospectively. You'd also want to look at things like who would be responsible to maintain the cameras ongoing, and if there is any damage to common property. Now, again, there's not going to be a lot of damage to common property as far as security cameras are concerned. However, who'd be responsible if there is damage to common property as a result of the installation? What
about privacy concerns? Genevieve, are these cameras purely confined to your property, or is there a concern that maybe other people in your strata setup, are they concerned about security, about privacy issues?
Well, it does cover my area and then slightly past my gate towards the driveway, and I'm concerned about that slight deviation onto the driveway. But they were initially installed because my neighbour destroyed my property, my front and my backyard.
And that's something else.
I was very quick to install these, and I'm afraid that if I do take them down, my neighbour will continue to harass me.
Right, that line's very, very dusty.
Obviously, Genevieve said she doesn't want to take them down because she's concerned about her neighbour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, again, and that's a concern, getting back to Murray's point, as long as the security cameras are not breaching anyone's privacy, so as long as you're not zooming them into someone else's lounge room or anything like that, that should be fine. But again, you may want to specify that in the bylaw that they are going to be used purely for security purposes for your property. But again, I would seek that retrospective approval because once it's granted, it'll be very difficult for the owners to ask you to take them out.
So here's a question for you, because it's on the outside of the building and you get approval, and if something goes wrong with the cameras, who pays for the repairs? That's
why it's maintained in the bylaw. So if you specify in the bylaw that the lot owner will be responsible, then that's the lot owner's responsibility.
Righto.
131873 is our number. Let's go to Parramatta, line 2 with John. John's online. Hi, John.
Hi. How you going?
Good, thank you. How can we help, sir?
I just want to ask a question. I own a unit in a complex where Strata is run by an owners committee. Last year they sent out the agenda for the general meeting, listing all the points they're going to discuss. And then they had the general meeting, and they've added in additional items for discussion, and one of those items was a special levy. Just want to know if that's valid.
John, from what you've described, no, it's not. So any advice about levies, whether it be your annual budget or any advice about special levies, it must be raised on an agenda and issued to owners given the appropriate time period. An owners corporation, you can't at your strata meeting simply say, we would like to now raise a special levy for X.
You can't just drop it onto the agenda.
No, you can't. What you can do, and this is a common practice amongst many owners corporations, you can say that we need to raise a special levy for Y, and it might be, say, repainting your building, and you may propose a levy of a certain amount, and then you can negotiate or set what that amount might be, but you can't spring a surprise on owners and simply say we want to raise a levy here and now at the meeting. So there must be proper notice given, and there's not proper notice given. There is cause within the legislation for that resolution to be revoked by NCAT or QCAT or whatever state, whatever civil jurisdiction you're in around Australia. And again, that can be revoked if it's not done properly. So it is very, very important for owners corporations and particularly self-managed schemes to make sure that they are crossing their T's and dotting their I's when they send out notices of meetings.
Where does the strata manager come into play in a situation like that? You're holding an AGM, you'd assume the strata manager is there.
Yep.
Just say that circumstance occurred.
Yep.
I think for most residents, they would probably assume, well, the strata manager is going to intervene here and say, I'm sorry, that's not appropriate.
Yeah, that's right. And that's what the strata manager should be doing. I think John mentioned at the start of his question that he was in a self-managed scheme.
Okay.
Yeah, so by the sound, look, make no mistake, I'm sure the committee are acting in the best interest of the owners, but these are the technicalities of the law that they need to be familiar with, otherwise they might get tripped up.
Okay. Warwick is not a fan, but we're not going to share your text, Warwick, but I understand he's not a fan of strata management.
No.
131873 is our telephone number. Let's go to Wollongong because Peter's online. Hi, Peter. Good afternoon. How can we help?
Good afternoon, everybody. I got a problems with Strata and Owners Corporation.
Yep.
Because they run the place against the laws, I think, and regulations. Because 2 years ago I went to AGM, and the AGM I inspected the complex, and I found out quite a few of the front panels of the buildings, which was timber, was rotten.
They were rotten.
I went around and I saw the tennis court gate hanging on a 1 inch. And also, I found quite a few things were wrong. So after the meeting, I asked questions to Stratas. Listen, said, who's responsible for the maintenance of the complex here?
And what was the answer?
And the site manager, they did not answer my question. So I asked again, who's responsible for the maintenance and the welfare of the complex here?
And you haven't had a satisfactory answer?
Sorry?
You have not had an answer that you're happy with. You're not happy with the answers you've been given.
That's right.
Okay, so what can Peter do here?
So simple question. Every owners corporation is responsible for the maintenance of their common property, and this is a very well-defined area of strata law, which is outlined in Section 106 of the Strata Schemes Management Act in New South Wales. Again, there are different sections in Victoria and Queensland, but all the state legislation has a very similar point that says the owners corporation must properly repair and maintain their common property.
Things like a tennis court in the case.
Things like, timber, all areas of the property. So particularly
timber shutters.
100%. So particularly things like appearance, security, safety, these are the things which, the owners corporation must properly repair and maintain.
Your fire inspections, for example.
Exactly right.
Your swimming pool inspections.
That's right. All of those things. It's very, very important that the owners corporation do take these responsibilities seriously, because if they don't, in the most extreme cases, they may have they may impede on their insurances if they're not properly repairing and maintaining their common property. Sure. But aside from that, there is a duty to do it under the legislation. If an owners corporation or a strata committee is not properly repairing common property, every state jurisdiction has the ability for an owner to apply to their local civil and administrative tribunal for those repairs to be done. If the repairs are not done, in the most extreme cases, you can then apply for a compulsory administrator to be put into place, where that's when someone comes in and actually administers the property, because it's been proven that the owners aren't acting in the best interests of all residents or the owners corporation or filling their duties.
Okay, now listen, Harry's asked us the text question here. In a nutshell, who's checking the checkers? I think in any business, you can't keep an eye on everybody and everything 24/7.
Yep.
Sometimes things happen on the side, right? This is what Harry's asking. Is there any way you can do checks and balances on strata managers to make sure they're not, getting a kickback from the guy that's doing the repairs or the building maintenance?
Absolutely.
Which is a justifiable question.
Absolutely. So at every annual general meeting, every owners corporation is asked, do you want to have your accounts audited?
Right.
And that's regardless of whether it's a strata manager looking after your books and records, or whether it may be a treasurer, like an owner who's looking after the books and records. I hate to say this, the biggest prevalence of fraud in strata actually comes from self-managed schemes.
Right.
And that's where the treasurer, is taking on the monies from all the other owners and doing
word
things
to
with
Steve.
it.
That's why they're self-managed.
Yeah, exactly right. So, but again, every owners corporation has the right to have their books and records audited by an independent auditor. Okay. We, as professional strata managers, we have a few additional criteria placed on us. So if any owner suspects that a strata manager is taking kickbacks, and again, I must stress, it is a huge no-no in our profession. It's outright illegal, and a strata manager will lose their license if they do it.
Yep.
They have rights through the licensing division of fair trading. And this is something else which our association, if you have a member of our association, so Strata Community Association, a strata manager who we deem is taking kickbacks, we will not only kick them out of our association, we will report them to government. And we've got a very good relationship with government where they will discipline that strata manager.
There you go. I hope that answers your question, Harry. Thanks very much indeed. Alan, by the way, says strata manager, it's always been part of bush ranging.
Nice.
Thank you, Alan. This is the Two Murray, Stephen Brell, our very special guest on a Sunday afternoon. He's the president of the Strata Community Association, 131873. We have a few lines available. If you have a question for Stephen, give us a buzz.
This is Strata Matters for the Strata Community Association New South Wales, the peak body representing the strata industry.
Yeah, Stephen Brell is with us, president of the Strata Community Association here in New South Wales. 131873 is our number. Trevor has called through. G'day, Trev.
G'day, how are you going?
Well, sir, thank you, and thank you for the call this afternoon. How can we be of assistance?
Now, I'm thinking of buying a unit, and it's got a termite damage.
Right.
It's got a barrier up now, and I'm not sure what the best go of option there,
Cool. Run away.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say run away.
Run away.
No, Murray, don't run away. Don't run away.
It's got a barrier put in, termite barrier put in, so...
Yeah, it's a very common problem, particularly for owners who live in villas and townhouses. I would encourage them every year to get a termite inspection done, regardless of where they might be. It's not uncommon for villas and townhouses to have a termite barrier put in place to stave off termite attacks. In your particular case, what I'd be doing, by the sounds of it, you've had a search done prior to you having a look and they've identified some damage. What I would be doing is trying to find out an estimate of how much the repairs might be. And then what you can do is then use that as a negotiation tactic, if you like, when you're purchasing the property.
Might be $10,000 to remediate the issue.
Yep, exactly right. Yep. And look, I'd give this advice for anyone. Always get a strata search before you buy a strata property, because it will generally bring up the issues like Trevor is raising, whether it be termites or some other maintenance or other damage that might be at the property.
I've got a query then. And okay, you may have 5, 6, 10 units in the strata arrangement.
Yep.
If that termite issue isn't in that strata arrangement, shouldn't owners or potential owners like Trevor actually get a pest inspection for that individual unit?
Yes, they should, yeah. Apart from a strata search, I'd also encourage people to get their own building and pest inspection, just like you would with a normal
it's like
property.
Insurance.
Sorry, am I being stupid here? But you talk about termites, they eat timber.
Yes.
I haven't seen many unit blocks built out of timber.
No, but
but
joists and whatnot.
There's a lot of villas and townhouses are still the good old brick veneer.
Of course.
So that's the double check that Trevor might want to undertake.
Yeah, that's right. And Murray, to your point, I many years ago, I did manage a 3-story walk-up made out of brick, timber roof. It had termites. So that's how far they can go.
Yeah, they're little buggers, aren't they?
They are.
They really are.
Yeah.
Hungry too.
They are hungry.
Trevor, I hope that helps, mate. 131873 is our telephone number.
Where to?
We go to the top of the board
Okay.
because Trish is online. Hello, Trish.
Hi, Trish. Hi. It's Trish.
Oh.
You, Trish.
Yeah.
We muzzies.
You, Trish, we me.
It's a great pleasure, Trish.
Thank you.
Very good afternoon to you, and how can we help?
Taking the call.
Pleasure.
Good afternoon. Look, we're in Queensland, just on a corporate committee I am. We've got a unit that was sold last year in 2022 in September. It's got a tenant in. We've now got the new owner putting a claim against us. What happened in 2021, we've got a set of apartments, 5 stories high, 20 units. What happened was some water was coming in through some windows, and we had all of those fixed and sealed, and we just didn't do where it was coming in on the top unit. We did all the units in that line all the way down the wall. And the person that was in the unit underneath where the window was leaking did have some damage. When it was all finished, we put it through insurance and everything. And that owner, he didn't want anything else done. He didn't want anything done in the unit or that. And, of course, now it's been on sold, and she wants the lady that's bought it saying that it is still damp, which we've had checked. There's still no water coming into the unit, which we've had checked. And she now wants us to pay for the repairs into her unit. To go back through the insurance now excess, as you know, has gone up in that time, is now $7,500. So where can we go to sort of go and sort this out?
Yeah, Trish, great question. It's a very common problem in a strata environment where a lot owner will be in dispute with the Strata Committee about whether or not a maintenance issue actually exists. Now, to answer your question, where can you go? The onus in this situation is actually on the lot owner, not on the Strata Committee. So you're coming from a place of where you can actually defend this. So what my advice would be for your committee to go out and get some independent advice, perhaps from an engineer or another suitably qualified expert who can assess the property and definitively determine that there is actually no issues going on in the property. So the water leaks have been fixed. There's no ongoing problems, and again, the property is habitable for all intents and purposes. Mm-hmm. Now, what the new owner will do, they will have rights to go to QCAT, because you said you're up in Queensland, so that's the Queensland Administrative and Appeals Tribunal. You'd both rock along and present your cases. They'd have to provide their evidence, so that they need to prove that there is something ongoing with the property that requires repair. And if you have your reports in place saying that, no, everything is okay, then that would be the best line of defence for you in that particular situation. Okay, good on you, Trish. Thank you so much. Before we go to the break, Kevin sent us an email from St Ives. Last week on the program, you mentioned there was a list of recommended trades on the Strata Community Association website. He said he had a bit of a look, but couldn't seem to find anything. Is that correct? Oh, and that should be, yeah. I will admit, because our websites are interlinked with our national and other state bodies, it can be a little bit difficult to navigate to the New South Wales website. So I would just say, make sure you navigate to New South Wales. And again, there is a trade directory on our website. Okay, beautiful. Right. Yep.
This is the Two Muzzies and Stephen Brell answering your questions about Strata living, the Strata environment. 131873. Back in a moment. Yes, they are. This is the Two Muzzies and Stephen Brell. Michael, thank you very much. I have a pet termite. I've named him Clint. Clint eats wood. Boom Tish. Thank you very much. That's very good. I like that. Now, where are we going, Muzzy boy? Clint where are we going?
Where are we off to?
Is it line 5?
Yeah, let's have a chat to Kim at Carringbar. G'day, Kim.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Pretty good, thanks. How can we help?
Okay, so I have a commercial unit in, there's about 12, 14 of them, not sure exactly how many. I'm looking at wanting to sell that. Now, I went to the Strata meeting, and that was the first one I'd ever been to with them, and I mentioned that I might be wanting to sell, and there was a bit of an uproar, and they said, I cannot put out a for sale sign, or the real estate agent can't put out a for sale sign. I'm a bit like, why not? Anyway, cut a long story short, they were pretty adamant that I couldn't. I just wanted to see if they're able to do that.
Yeah, they can. So, and your Strata Committee or Owners Corporation, they control the common property, and every strata scheme, certainly in New South Wales, and I'm almost certain it's the same for Victoria and Queensland, have something which is called an appearance bylaw. So you can't install anything on common property unless you have the permission from the Owners Corporation or Strata Committee. Now, how different Strata Committees govern this is completely dependent upon the individual strata scheme. Some owners corporations or body corporates are very liberal with this, and they're quite happy for owners to put up for sale signs or for rent signs or those sorts of things, whereas others, and by the sounds of it in your scheme, Kim, they're a little bit against it.
But how can Kim then advertise the fact she wants to sell the property?
I would be going in and asking what their objections are, like what their concerns are.
Is it the colour?
Is it the size? Is it the fact that there might be damage to common property? Often what happens in a strata environment, and again, most real estate agents are very good because they have professional sign installers put signs up, but often, and we've seen this happen where in heavy winds or heavy storms, the signs can get ripped up and they cause further damage to common property. So if you, Kim, give assurances to your strata committee that you will take all responsibility for any damage that the sign may cause, and that might be during installation. Like we on occasion, you do see some signs put up where they'll bang a nail into the common property and wreck the wall and that sort of thing. So as long as you're saying, hey, look, I will take responsibility for the installation of the sign and any damage it may cause, that should hopefully appease any of their grievances. Otherwise, I just ask what their concerns are.
What about if you've got a window that's facing the street? Can you put the sign on the inside of your window so that it points out and it's in your property?
You can,
and
however,
you go, here, have a look at that.
Yeah, exactly right. However, again, that comes back to the appearance of the lot. So you can't do things within your property. I could go down a rabbit warren right now because what we're facing out there in strata land is a lot of people putting up, let's say, political type flags in their windows and so forth at the moment, which is causing a little bit of grievance for other residents. So there are laws saying that you can't put anything up which is not in keeping with the appearance of the rest of the building.
Well, I hope that helps, Kim. Just go back and say, listen, what's the problem here? I mean, it's a legitimate query. You shouldn't get the bums rushed with that.
Yeah, that's right. And my advice, for most owners' corporations is at some point, every owner is going to want to either lease or sell their property. So it's not unreasonable for people to put signs up saying that, hey, we've got our property for rental or sale.
Okay. Not like they hang on a red light in there.
Right.
Hey.
Let's go to Hornsby because I hope that helps, Kim. Thank you for the call. And Rhonda's given us a call from Hornsby. Good afternoon.
Help me, Rhonda.
Good afternoon, guys.
How can we?
There's 5 in our complex, strata, but it's rather unusual. We look after our own places. There's 4 at the back. What they did is develop behind 2 original houses. And so there's 4 at the back, and the 5th one is the original house because they have to use our driveway. We've always been quite amicable. There's not much garden, and we've always had working bees and yada yada. And but now we're getting older, and now what my question basically is: who is responsible for the nature strip in the front of the original house?
Sure. So when you say the nature strip, I presume you're talking about the council property right at the front of your development? Yeah. So, look, in normal circumstances, the nature strip is always the council's responsibility.
Good luck.
Yeah, that's right. Now, we all know that most homeowners, and whether it be a strata scheme or whether it be a single dwelling house, most homeowners take on that responsibility themselves because, they want to keep it looking good for the appearance of their property. So in this particular circumstance, Rhonda, it is the council's responsibility. However, in most instances, a private residence would take on that responsibility themselves. So by the sounds of it, if you're in a scheme where and this is not uncommon again for owners to get together and do working bees and so forth, but you now want to pass on that responsibility, it might be time to hire a gardener and just share that cost amongst the 5 lot owners in your building.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
There you go.
That helps.
One thing before we take another call, you did want to mention this, and I think it's important. All records have got to be maintained electronically by June of this year.
Yeah, that's right. So late last year, we had the first stage of some new strata legislation passed by the New South Wales government. And the reason why I thought that this was important for me to raise, it's going to impact self-managed schemes the most because most self-managed schemes, if you've got your volunteer secretary or treasurer who are keeping the records on behalf of the owners, they now need to convert those records to electronic records by June 2024.
All of them?
All of them, yep. So all historic records have to be maintained electronically. And again, I do sympathise with a lot. I mean, look, most people who are involved in a strata environment, the secretary and the treasurer,
I'm the
they're
secretary.
doing. That's right. They're doing so voluntarily. So Muzz, you've got to get all your records kept electronically by June this year.
So you've got to scan them in?
That's right. You've got to scan them all in. And
I'll get Claudia over. She can help me.
That's right,
I reckon you're going to need a lot of people are going to need help with that.
They're going to need help, yeah. And the bigger problem, which a lot of schemes have, is that the files, the way that the records are maintained, there is no guidance in the Act on how you do it. So, yes, you have minutes books, and yes, you have correspondence files.
What could
and
go
yes,
wrong?
Yeah, that's right. So what's going to happen, I can see, is that everyone's going to develop their own protocols on how they keep their records, and it may be a little more. So I would encourage everyone, first of all, keep your records electronically. Develop protocols on how you keep them.
Yeah.
So insurance files, minutes books, correspondence, maintenance.
I can see our chair and the Honourable Secretary, myself, getting together over a glass of wine.
Well, Muzz, you mentioned earlier that you have a very good and capable strata manager. So hopefully your strata manager is keeping your records for you on your behalf. So if you're in a professionally managed scheme, you should be okay.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Let's go to...
A break.
A break. Very good idea. I'm glad you said that.
I'm glad I jumped in then. Good on you. And Stephen Brell is with us, President of the Strata Community Association. If you want to have a chat to him, 10 to 3, what?
I'm just intrigued at the number of calls about living in Strata.
I know.
It doesn't suit everybody. I mean, maybe I'm lucky. I've got a great setup.
You're in a good situation.
With lovely people, but heavens above, that is not universally enjoyed.
No, but it's interesting because, in all the weeks that we've been doing this, I don't think we've had one person ring up and say, we love our strata managers and we enjoy our strata environment. You won't hear the good stories, will you?
No, and that's right. I mean, look, again, and some of the feedback that I've got from my colleagues is that, mate, you get asked the questions every Sunday. But I said, yeah, that's what we're here for.
Yep.
And I say, look, living in strata, it's a lifestyle choice. It is not for everyone.
No.
However, it is becoming a more and more popular choice. And what I'm trying to do is spread the word about the complexities and about that there is assistance out there for people that are living in the strata environment, that there is help available for them.
Okay. Okay, let's go to Westmead because John has been there the longest. John, very good afternoon to you, sir. How can we help?
Hi, how you doing? My question is in regards to volunteers doing maintenance, gardening and that around the building, and the insurance cover that they'll have should an accident occur. And it just doesn't seem very transparent in regards to that. And if volunteers or members of the committee and owners and that want to help out around the place, and accidents sometimes do occur, what coverage will they have, and how transparent is it? Because it's not very transparent. That's what I can see. And do they need to take out extra cover, or does the strata management need to clarify it more and make sure that the insurance is covered for people that are doing maintenance around there on a volunteer basis in case there's an accident?
Yeah, John, that's a very, very good question, and there's a few things for me to unpack here. So in New South Wales, and again, I'm almost certain this is the same around all states in Australia, every owners corporation must carry something which is called Voluntary Workers Insurance. Now, this insurance is exactly for the scenario that you're describing, which is owners who are doing volunteer work. It might be as simple as taking the bins in and out on garbage night. It might be, pruning some hedges back. They must be covered by this insurance, which is called voluntary workers. Now, at every annual general meeting, your owners corporation has to go through your insurances and decide whether or not they are adequate for your building. Right now, if you've got a scheme where there's lots of owners doing volunteer work, you can decide to increase this level of cover to make sure that the owners are adequately protected if they do, as you rightly say, have an accident while they are performing these duties. Now, the one thing which I would say, if you do have owners that are doing this volunteer work, make sure that you notify your strata insurer and just say, it's very simple. You just say, look, owner of lot 1 puts the bins in and out every week. Owner of lot 2 does some pruning from time to time. Owner of lot 3 might do some gardening. As long as you put your insurers on notice, again, all of those volunteers will be covered by this insurance. So okay. I hope that helps.
It's a very important question to sound of it, John, and thank you for your call.
Because you used to mow the lawns, didn't you?
Still do.
So you're a volunteer.
Yeah.
So if you roll the mower over your foot, you want to make sure you're covered by insurance.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
Note to self. I've just made a note to self. Thank you very much.
Note to self.
Exactly.
There you go.
Right.
This is very helpful. Let's go to Summerhill because Sue is with us. Hello, Sue. Good afternoon.
Hi, boys. Hi, Steve. I just have a few quick questions. Who's in charge of Strata governing body? Is that NCAT?
Okay, so when you say who's in charge of Strata, so the Strata schemes are governed by New South Wales Fair Trading. Okay, so if you have an issue with how your scheme is being run, your first point of call will be New South Wales Fair Trading. If they can't help you out through their mediation services and a dispute needs to go to resolution, that would then you'd go off to NCAT, which is the Administrative and Appeals Tribunal, and there are these tribunals in every state. So in Victoria, it's VCAT, New South Wales NCAT, Queensland QCAT. So they're the governing body of strata legislation. So it's normally the fair trading officers in each state who are the governing body, and then if there's a dispute, you go off to the tribunal, and that's how it works. Does that answer your question, Sue? Or?
It does, actually, and
Yes.
Thank you very much. Just another quick question, if I may, just really
Sure.
quickly. Does the committee secretary have access to funds or strata levies and so on through a bank account details?
If you're a self-managed scheme, the treasurer would normally be the one who has access to all the financial records of the owners corporation, so things like bank accounts and so forth. If you're in a professionally managed scheme, it would usually be your strata manager who's looking after the finances for your property. Okay. And as I mentioned earlier, you can have those records audited each year by an independent auditor, which a lot of owners corporations do.
Beautiful. All right. Sue, I hope that helps you out this afternoon. We've run out of time. As always.
I know, mate.
Good to see you.
Another popular person.
It's my quickest hour of the week. So.
Well, geez, yeah. Tell me, you're not going to be with us next week. You've got other things you've got to be doing.
Yes.
But if anybody wants to get hold of you or your organisation and ask questions about Strata, because, look, as you know, it's going to be an increasing,
environment for a bunch of people.
Well, yeah, drama's the wrong word, but environment is right. Yeah, for many people.
Absolutely. So the office number, and we're now back on deck for 2024.
Beautiful.
9492 8200, or if you're looking for us on the web, simply Strata Community Association. And again, as I mentioned earlier, if you're looking for New South Wales or particular jurisdictions, make sure you go to the state relevant jurisdiction of wherever you are, because we've got associations all around the country.
Mr. Brell, great to see you again,
No
mate.
worries.
Thank you so
Maurice.
much for coming in.
mate.
Stephen
so
Brell,
much.
he can answer just about any darn question you have regarding Strata.
No, only regarding Strata, though.
Well, you can try other things.
Well, he could, actually. Do the pet segment later on in the program.